Afternoon. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Renfrew County Housing Corporation. It is Wednesday, October 11th, 2023, and it is 1 o'clock. I would like to, as we gather this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on traditional territory of the First Nations. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. We are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Oh, I forgot the roll call. Do we have?
Yes, Chair, we have quorum.
We do? Okay, thank you. Adoption of minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by the member from Killaloe Haggerty Richards, seconded by the member from Head Clare Mariah. All in favor? Thank you. Delegations. There were none at the time of this mailing. We'll go directly to the director's report, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members of the Renfrew County Housing Board of Directors. My report begins on page 6 of your package, and I will start with information item number 1, which is a good news, bad news story, in my opinion. It is the retirement of the Administrative Assistant 3, Wendy Hill. So, you know, Wendy Hill has been an admin assistant with us and the county since 2019. She joined the Community Services Department as my assistant back in 2019, but has been with us since 2015. She's provided exemplary service, and many of you will recognize her as the minute taker and agenda person at the back of the room. But she is retiring. She's moving on, so very sad to see her go, but very happy for her as well. She's done exemplary work with both the committee and supporting the department. I want to wish her the very best, and thank you very much, Wendy, for wonderful years of service with us. Thank you. The next item is the Community Housing Capitals Projects Update, and through you, Chair, I would like to invite Manager of Real Estate Kevin Raditz to speak to the report. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and through you, Chair. So just an update on the current capital projects that's happening in the Renfrew County Housing portfolio. And as you can see on the spreadsheet or the file, we have 7 projects completed to date, so that's a good news story, with another one expected to be completed by the end of October. And as you can see, we still have a couple that will be in design. So a couple still in design and also be tendered later in October. And the one project there you see listed is the 202 Cecil Street duplex, and that's at about 30% complete. I think just last week they started the framing on the project, so they have the first level completed to date, and that's going well. And of course, that's just down the street from the corner of Douglas and Lee Street, where they're doing the new build, which that project is advancing relatively well also. And Chair, that completes the report.
So we'll go back to the information item number 1. Are there any questions? I would like to wish, on behalf of this council, a happy, healthy, and long retirement to you, Ms. Hill. I haven't known you very long, but from everything I've heard, you have been, as Ms. Lapine said, an exemplary employee, and all the best from all of us. Item number 2, Community Housing Capital Projects Update. Any questions on that? I do have one. So could you explain the Lee Street, this townhome blocks, you've got Kochi grant in there. Can you do a breakdown for that, please?
So you're referring to the the grant itself.
So it says 290,000 was paid for by the grant?
Yeah, so that's one source of funding, and maybe I'll just redirect that to Ms.
Okay.
Lapine, Chair.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, to committee. The Lee Street build is our new build that we have that consists of stacking of different kinds of funds that we have.
Okay.
This report, as Mr. Raditz has identified, is speaking to the actual COCHI dollars, but we have been able to stack other funds, some of which I'm not at liberty to share openly because of the ministry requirement due to the funding sources. Okay. I hope that answers the question for you. Thank you.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And then one more question on the 202 Cecil. So at 30% complete, and it's already over budget, do you anticipate being more over budget than that?
No, it's not over budget. As you can see in the file, we had budgeted for $545,000.
Oh, I'm going backwards.
And the contract came in at $495,000.
My apologies. I inverted those two columns there. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments? No? Okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder to approve the report as a whole? Moved by Councillor from Petawawa, seconded by the Councillor from Head Claremoraya. All in favor? Passed. Okay, next we'll go on to the manager's report, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My report begins on page 9 of your package, starting with information item 1. On August 29th, representatives from the County of Renfrew attended a virtual meeting that was in partnership with the City of Pembroke and the County of Renfrew. A Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation representative, Jeff Colabash, provided an overview of CMHC financial initiatives, and his presentation is attached as Appendix 1. The presentation was recorded and is also available for viewing at the City of Pembroke YouTube channel. Information item 2 provides a report that's attached for your review, and the report is titled, A Multi-Sector Approach to Ending Canada's Rental Housing Crisis. Item 3 provides an update that the mortgage for the Renfrew County Housing Corporation townhomes that are known as Vimy family units, that this mortgage was discharged as of August 31st. Information item 4 provides an update regarding the Built for Zero initiative in Renfrew County. The County of Renfrew is partnered with the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness regarding this initiative, and locally we work with other agencies, including The Grind and the Mental Health Services of the Pembroke Regional Hospital, to connect people with a variety of services to eventually get them housed. The tool that we use to register people for the services is called the By Name list, and this list tracks both acute and chronic homelessness. Within your package, there is a chart at the top of page 11, and this provides a cumulative overview of homelessness data for the period of April to August 2023. At that time, the cumulative total was 58 people who identified as experiencing homelessness, and of those, 28 were chronically homeless. Chronic homelessness is homelessness that's known to persist for 6 months or more, or homelessness that reoccurs within a 12-month period. Looking at page 10, you will see a chart that represents chronic homelessness for the period of September 2022 to August 2023. And attached as Appendix 3 is a letter from Built for Zero Canada that recognizes the County of Renfrew for reducing chronic homelessness by 10%. And I'll just add on this to say that the homelessness data that we have unfortunately does not reflect all homelessness. It's very difficult to capture that exact information, but we do know that homelessness is greater than what is represented by the data reflected here. Item 5 is to advise the board that the County of Renfrew will complete an annual point-in-time count for homelessness enumeration the week of October 30th. The point-in-time count is an important exercise to help us understand homelessness in the community. The information gained will help to deliver our homelessness prevention programs. Community services staff will work with agencies across Renfrew County in order to try to help ensure that people are not falling through the gaps with services and to connect people with services if that's what they would like. A report to summarize the enumeration along with an infographic poster will be provided at an upcoming RCHC board meeting. Information item 6, this is a recommendation.
Yeah, I'll stop you there and I'll go back to the information items, please. So any questions on information item number 1, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Housing Solutions presentation? Member from Pembroke, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Just a question in regards to Central Mortgage and Housing. I know what the various programs are being proposed by the federal government. One of the initiatives through the housing strategy was to look at perhaps some reform in the Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation's mandate on how they allow the provision of services, et cetera. One of the deputy mayor in Pembroke had stated earlier at one of our council meetings that contractors that are bidding through the Central Mortgage Housing process often are bidding to proceed with projects right across the country as opposed to within their own local initiative, their own local municipality. Do you feel that some of that reform may address that particular question of how we can get homes built quicker in the area by using local contractors focused on the immediate area in Renfrew County? Thank you.
Jennifer? Okay, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, to Councillor from Pembroke and Resta Committee. That's a big question that I really don't feel that we can speak to at this point in time because there's a lot more information needed. I appreciate that there are large contractors bidding and there are local contractors as well, but I really don't feel we have an opinion at this point in time in terms of whether that will lead to or detract from more homes being built. My comment at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplemental?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hopefully in the future that item may be addressed because I think it's a bit of a, it's been a bit of a barrier to allow more housing to move forward when you're dealing with issues of that nature. I think there should be some impetus to taking into consideration that small local contractors can fulfill the needs rather than bidding on a large over a large scale that they're not capable of committing to, but they are committing to a smaller unit. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any more questions on item 1? Councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm just going to, because the presentation was provided in the package, I just had a question on one of the slides. It would be page number 50 of the package. And I'm just curious, and I know it's more of a development and planning question, but with the context of trying to facilitate affordable housing within the county, I'm wondering if we could have an expert speak to the last point on that slide where it talks about the city granting a 15-year tax waiver on affordable units and a 5-year on market units. I'm wondering if we can speak to how that would happen. Is that simply a CIP or was that something in their affordable housing plan? How would we go about facilitating something similar here at either upper or lower tier level? Thank you.
I believe we'll go to Mr. Foss for this, please.
Thank you, Chair. We have a number of affordable housing programs that currently exist within the County of Renfrew. I'm thinking of 2 in Arnprior, 1 in Eganville, 1 in Petawawa. Those are the 4 that come to mind under affordable housing. Each one of those developments came with a program that allowed for us to ensure that taxation on those buildings were set at a tax ratio of 1. In other words, a tax ratio that was equal to residential tax rate for multi-residential properties. And so we entered into an agreement with each of those organizations to ensure that they were paying through the Act. We had an opportunity through an exemption or write-off process to ensure that although the taxation bills were billed at the full amount, that we adjusted those final tax bills to be equal to what a residential building would pay. So if that, Madam Chair, is perhaps the question about what we've done in the past and how that might apply to this situation, I'm hoping that that addresses the question.
Okay. CEO Kelly, please.
Thanks, Chair, and through you. Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Foss. There are other programs. PEI is different than Ontario, obviously. But I think you nailed it right away, is the CIPs often have an ability to waive or at least lower taxes to a different rate through whatever the CIP, however they've defined that, the Community Improvement Plan, for those who are unaware. So Community Improvement Plan is when a municipality designates an area or areas that see a benefit in some fashion, whether it's a facade improvement to a retail frontage or another benefit like a tax relief to that. Now, the county doesn't have a CIP. It doesn't say we cannot. There's a process to do that, but it's typically up to the lower tier. There's also different ways and different incentives. We don't have development charges, and I believe that you're not even allowed to assess development charges against social housing under the new rules. But in the past, social housing or community housing units would be exempt from, or you could make them exempt of DCs, but now that's off the table because you can't even charge for them in the new world. So different ways of doing it, but anyway.
Supplemental?
Chair, if I could defer to the warden, if he could make his comment first, then I'll...
Sure.
Thank you.
Warden, please.
Just 2 comments. Thank you. Mr. Foss was correct, and the one element that was that was in the legislation was the local municipality had to pass a motion which bound them for the duration of the agreement to have that single tax rate. So it was a three-pronged approach, 4-pronged approach. It was a not-for-profit, the local municipality, the county, and the province were involved in it. And then further to Mr. Kelly's comments, the CIP programs, some municipalities are now using them. As he said, they've evolved them, so they're providing a grant of X number of thousands of dollars for units built or units to be converted. So that's a trend across Ontario, urban Ontario, in the last 8 months, but it's picking up steam. So you'll see CIP programs changing to include added suites or added tiny houses on properties, or maybe even towards larger developments.
Thank you. Councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just curious if we would like to consider something like that as a recommendation to consider at this level. What is the recommended process? Is that something that we would initiate at this committee, or sorry, this corporation meeting, at a different committee? Would it go to DMP for consideration? What process would we want to consider an upper tier tax waiver option on affordable housing?
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll defer to the Treasurer, of course, on this one. But this has severe financial impacts to the corporation, however you look at it, whether it's a deferral of possible tax revenues or if we go the CIP route, would be actual tax levy dollars going towards the development, which, of course, we don't have. We don't have extra dollars coming in a slush fund to offer $500,000. Now, that said, in early 2023, through the budget process and through some planning, we had gosh, it wasn't a garden suite, it was secondary housing plan. Oh my God, not secondary suite program that we had put on the table. That was is that late 2022 or 2023? Anyway, over the last year, we had a secondary unit plan in place, but we deferred that until a future time. It's likely to come back in 2024, where we had set aside $250,000 from the HPP, no, from OFI, from the OFI plan to pay for secondary suites, but we had to allocate those dollars to the Lee and Douglas build because we needed more money. And we had to reallocate dollars. So again, those things are on the option table for discussion. I would suggest during the budget time, if that's a strategy that you'd like to see, then I would hold those recommendations probably to the time of budget to say we want to do this and plan for those things.
Member from Whitewater.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I can appreciate the budget implications, and I shouldn't say that. I can't appreciate them. They're probably significant. I just would like to have the discussion, and then to knowingly dismiss it as an option or be unable to fund it, but just to have the discussion. So I will take that on board and bring it up during the budget discussion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any more questions on item 1? Member from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if there are any municipalities that have applied for the Housing Accelerator Fund, if you're successful, I do believe one of the applications of the funding is that you can offer incentives to developers to build affordable units within a larger unit. So that's also an option that's available to any successful applicants at a municipal level anyways. I hope I'm right. I saw a few people nodding.
Okay, any more questions on item 1? Seeing none. Item 2, the National Housing Accord, a multi-sector approach to ending Canada's rental housing crisis. Warden, please.
This is my favorite new document. I'll be honest with you, I've been quoting it all through the last 6 weeks or so. I got it in July. So I'll take you to page 68, item number 4, where it talks about, in 8 key points, where it talks about the 6 bottlenecks: the lack of coordination, a shortage of inputs from labor to materials, high cost, low productivity, inability to get timely approvals, and the insufficient construction of non-market housing. So I think the only thing that we can really focus on here is the timely approvals. And so, we're going to need, we're going to need a coordinated effort across all 18 municipalities on permitting and legislation, zoning, and so at some point we may have to talk about a one window approach, or at the very minimum, one window in 17 different houses, because it's, we're a little slower than we need to be. So just to keep that in mind as you're having conversations, and I'll take you over to page 71, and I quote this one on a regular basis. In the middle of the page, over the past 7 years, the rent on one-bedroom apartment has increased by 32%, while average weekly earnings have risen by less than 23%. So such rapid rent increases can devastate those on a fixed income or experiencing precarious employment. And then the last piece in the journey for me, this is a great report, by the way, and I read it all the time, over and over again, because I find something new in it, is page 76, and the comment is 2023 Scotiabank report finds that there are roughly 655,000 social housing units in Canada, with 58% owned by governments, meaning us, and 26% owned by nonprofits, with 10% by co-op ownership. And so our social housing stock represents 3.5% of all Canadian housing. So those are just the things that have leapt out to me as I've gone through it, and I've used those in some of my presentations on 7 on 7. Councillor Giacono will recognize those stats because he heard them last week. But so this is a great document and a nice document to include as an appendix in anything we do, because it talks about a plan forward. You look at the 8 factors at the front, things that they mentioned CMHC having to change as well. So we've been cribbing from this on a regular basis. So thank you.
Thank you, Warden. Any other comments on this? Okay, item number 3, end of mortgage, 224 Vimy Boulevard, Renfrew. Warden, please.
Can someone explain this to me, please? Because I'll be honest with you, over the years, I think we have mortgages on all of our properties, and at some point they run out, and I'm never quite sure when they run out, because I think we've had some that are 30 years and we've gone back. So I'm a little curious, are we actually done with mortgages on this building? And then with that, the money that's been baked into our budget for the mortgage, what do we do with it? Are we going to put it in a fund to rehab or add, or so that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Mr. Foss, please. You seem to be ignoring me.
Oh, darn. I may have been responding to an email, Madam Chair, and I might need the warden just to remind me of the question. Thank you.
So, and I should apologize because you probably got lost in the wandering of my question. So the end of mortgage for 224 Vimy, I'm aware that over the years we've had some that are 35 years and 30 years, and then we've seemingly gone back to remortgage for, at least to my recollection, and maybe I'm wrong, for some of these properties. So are we finally done with the mortgage on this? And the money that's baked into the budget for this, are we going to turn it into something else? And I should have asked this, but is it provincial money and they'll take it away?
Mr. Foss, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That question makes it a whole lot easier for me. So at the time that the County of Renfrew received a transfer from the province of social housing, the social housing business, as well as the social housing stock, we also received the responsibility for mortgages on the entire portfolio, social housing portfolio. The funding scheme, let's say that, from the province with respect to mortgages was the Ontario Gazette, published in 2001, the transfer payments that the County of Renfrew could expect in total to support all of our social housing activities. Roughly speaking, about $2.5 million per year. What they also published was a reduction in that transfer that was headed our way because the province of Ontario maintained the legal status, if you will, for the debentures on those properties. And so they withheld from us an amount that was equal to the debt servicing cost on all of that social housing stock. So roughly about a $1.2 million or $1.3 million per year until all of the mortgages run out on all of the social housing stock. So in the budget in 2023, I'm just going from the top of my head, but you'll see a number that we receive, a net amount we receive from the province, gross $2.5 million, less the $1.3 million, about $1.2 million is our entire support subsidy for 1,050 social housing units across the county of Renfrew. So any time that we come to an end of mortgage or end of operating agreement with any of those mortgages on public housing stock, the province will reduce the subsidy that they send to us, and so we are no better or no worse off as these mortgages begin to expire. The one area that we do see some savings in is with respect to the nonprofits. And of course, we have agreements where we are supporting each of those nonprofit entities. Part of our subsidy agreement is to support their mortgage payments, and when they get to the end of their operating agreement as far as their mortgage is concerned, then those savings come directly to the County of Renfrew because we no longer need to support those mortgage payments on a go-forward basis. And we've had a number of nonprofits where their mortgages have expired. And so that reduces our cost in supporting those nonprofit agencies throughout the county. So long answer to that question is, on the public housing stock, we are no better off because our support from the province is simply reduced because it's offset against the debt servicing costs the province pays on our behalf. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions on item 3? No, item 4, Built for Zero Canada, acknowledgement. I'd like to congratulate staff on this achievement. If you allow me, I'll just quickly read one of the paragraphs, which I thought, if I can read it without... This is amazing. Your hard work and dedication to reaching functional zero for chronic homelessness is demonstrated by these impressive accomplishments. As the 8th community who has reached and is currently sustaining this milestone, Renfrew County is a leading community, proving to others that reductions in homelessness are possible. So well done. Thank you. And item number 5, any questions? Point in time count for homelessness enumeration. No? Okay, next we'll go to the resolutions, please.
Thank you. May I go ahead and read the first recommendation? That the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approve Community Housing Directive 2 regarding the establishment of arrears and collection.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Warden, seconded by the member from Whitewater. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So this directive, when approved, will provide a bit of change to current business practice. Ongoing business practice has included the ongoing collection and establishment of arrears and collection. However, the change we're looking to have is to move in a direction of not having a retroactive adjustment limit. We often see that tenants will be faced with increased rent charges if for some reason they have not been able to provide necessary information to confirm their subsidy eligibility. This could be anything from a notice of assessment for income tax to tenant insurance verification, financial statements, and so forth. When the household is able to provide that information and when we're able to confirm the rent geared to income subsidy, we would like to be able to decrease the rent back to its subsidy rate rather than it being at a maximum rent amount. Current practice has us only go back retroactively 2 months. Proposed practice would have us go back so long as the person was financially eligible. In doing so, we believe that we will see a minor increase to the overall rent arrears accumulation. And we also believe that there will be less reliance on the Homelessness Prevention Program Fund to cover rent arrears for RCHC tenants. What this does not address would be the rent arrears that occur because of non-payment. So we are not looking to have any change in practice regarding the non-payment of rent, and would continue to collect that by negotiating payment arrangements or in some circumstances applying to the landlord and tenant board for help in recovering that fund.
Are there any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Please continue with number 7.
Thank you. Number 7 is a proposed community housing directive for the rent supplement program. The recommendation is that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approve this directive regarding the rent supplement program.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Whitewater, seconded by the member from Petawawa. You read the background, please.
Thank you. Within this proposal, we're looking to change current business practice. At this point, we do not have rent limits established, and this directive proposes the inclusion of rent limits. So for example, if there was a landlord that was wanting to become part of this rent supplement program and the rent was $2,000 for a 2-bedroom unit, once we go ahead and do a rent geared to income calculation, depending on the household income, we may actually see that household paying a $500 per month rent. So if we had a rent amount of $2,000, the subsidy amount is actually $1,500 per month, and that is quite high in comparison to the level of subsidy that we have for rent geared to income at Renfrew County Housing Corporation properties, and also very high in comparison to the rent amounts that we have established for the rent allowance program, which would be $300 for individuals without children or $400 for households with children. So the new rates, sorry, I'm just referring to my document here. Sorry, I believe I'm sorry, I don't have the appendix up in front of me, unfortunately. I lost it on my screen. But the proposal is that for a 1-bedroom unit, that the maximum rent be $1,000. For a 2-bedroom unit, that the maximum rent be $1,400. And for a 3-bedroom, that the maximum rent be $1,600. And those amounts were arrived at based over on some local research. We reviewed what we know from the rent amounts that people are navigating when they apply for homelessness prevention program assistance or when they apply for Ontario Works. And we also looked over at the market rents that are advertised online through Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this? Member from Whitewater, please.
Just a question. I know we haven't done this process to review these regularly. Is that correct?
That's correct, through you, Chair, to the board. This is the first time that a maximum rent is being established for this program specifically, the rent supplement program. This program's paid for through a combination of funding that also includes the homelessness prevention program.
I was just wondering, and now that you kind of explained it, maybe my mind is racing faster than my mouth. Is it worth setting up an annual review of that maximum? So it just automatically gets redone, just like our CPI for salary. On an annual basis, it gets done before the business planning process, so it's renewed each year. I just don't know based on the funding formulas behind it, so I throw the question out there. Thank you.
Okay. Does Ms. Lapine or anybody want to?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, through you to the board. I think that's a great recommendation that we review this directive and perhaps other directives on an annual basis when there are financial ties to those directives.
Okay. Any more discussion on this item?
Sorry, Chair,
Okay.
I'm just seeking clarification if the member wants to amend the motion to include a statement that says, and that this be reviewed annually.
Yes.
Okay. So I have to get a mover for the amended Moved by the councillor from Whitewater, seconded by the councillor from Head Clare Mariah. All in favor? And then a motion to accept the resolution as amended?
Just to vote on the amended
Or
resolution.
just to vote on the amended resolution? All in favor? Carried. That's right, we already have that. Okay. Okay, there is nothing for new business. We have a closed meeting pursuant to Section 239(2)A of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the purpose of to discuss the security of the property of the municipality. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the councillor from Petawawa, seconded by the councillor from Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. All in favor? Carried.
Chair. Right, Tina, just a motion to accept the manager's report. We didn't get a motion on that, please. Thank you.
Yes, could I also get a motion to accept the manager's report? Moved by the member, the warden, seconded by the member from Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the date of the next meeting is Wednesday, November 15th. Could I get a motion to adjourn, please? Motion by the member from Whitewater, seconded by the member from Head Clermont. All in favor? Passed. Thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break. Welcome back. I'd like to call to order this Community Services Committee meeting. Has roll call been taken? Wendy? Yeah, good. We have quorum. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Could I get a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting held on August 16th, 2023? Moved by the councillor from Petawawa, seconded by the councillor from Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. All in favor? Carried. There were no delegations for this meeting. We will go directly to the Community Services Department. Report, please. Ms. Lapine.
Thank you, and good afternoon, members of the Community Services Committee. Through you, Chair, my report begins on page 5. Information item number 1 is a similar message as I had earlier in the Renfrew County Housing Board of Directors meeting, that we have a retirement with our admin assistant 3. Wendy Hill is retiring after dedicated service to this committee, to the board, and to the department, and we wish her the very best as she moves into that next phase of retirement. Congratulations, Wendy. Item number 2, another information item concerning a warming center stakeholder review meeting. This was hosted by the City of Pembroke, held locally, where several members of staff attended, as well as members of the City of Pembroke and various community service agencies, to discuss an Out of the Cold program, which is also known as a warming center that the Grind, which is located in Pembroke, was wanting to discuss and look at funding mechanisms to look at some of the options available. No decisions were made at that meeting, and another meeting is being planned. Certainly something that we're very keenly involved in, and look forward to the next steps on this one. Item number 3, Petawawa Housing Corporation celebrated their 40th anniversary. It was a beautiful day to celebrate with the nonprofit housing board of directors, current and past, as well as some of the residents and other dignitaries that were present. It was lovely to be outside, and the building is such a beautiful building, and hard to imagine that 40 years has gone on, given that they've been providing very affordable rent for people in the community for that many years. Item number 4 was the Substance Use Collective Action Planning Day. So the Renfrew County and District Health Unit and the Ottawa Valley Ontario Health Team put together a half-day session in Laurentian Valley, held at the Rankin Centre, to invite people who represent different agencies working with mental health and addictions, but mainly addictions, to come together to talk about some actions, discuss the current state of affairs, and to identify what could be done either better or new in terms of our community. There were a lot of different agencies there, and we had several community services staff there as well, so it was a very good day. We feel that it was definitely an eye-opener in terms of information shared, and certainly have learned a lot about the different services and supports in our community. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go back to information item number 1, retirement. Ms. Wendy Hill, once again, congratulations and best of luck. It's great to be retired. Any questions, comments on that? No. Item number 2, warming center stakeholder review meeting. Any questions, comments? Member from Whitewater, please.
Thank you, Chair. I noticed that this is hosted by the City of Pembroke, specific to their property or their community. Do we have similar stakeholder meetings, or is there warming centers that exist in other communities? I'm thinking Arnprior, Renfrew, Barry's Bay, Petawawa, up maybe Deep River. Are there other similar initiatives?
Ms. Lapine, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. The Grind operated a warming center last year, the first of its kind in the county, and certainly from the information that they've shared with us is that the majority of people do come from this area, but people have come from other areas. In terms of our other communities, we're not aware of any other warming center that is operated. in any other jurisdiction in the county. We certainly are assisting people in the winter months as well as other times of the year with hotel and motel for, emergency overnight stays. Certainly, definitely see lots of warming centers being popping up across Ontario as a solution to not having a shelter, but having a warm place for people to come in out of the cold. But to my knowledge and to our experience, the Grind is the only one that has operated a warming center, and it only operated last year. They do wish to open another one this year as well. Thank you.
Supplemental? No? Good. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none. Item 3, Petawawa Housing Corporation. Sorry, do we have a question? Member from Pembroke, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. The warming center obviously, raises its head again as winter approaches, and our council, as well as many people throughout the county, are concerned about individuals who do not have the wherewithal to put themselves in a place of warmth. When you have a winter blizzard on, etc. We don't want to see anybody lose their lives over that. There's been some great concern about creating, if not a warming center, some sort of a shelter. Financially, at this particular time, I don't think that's viable. But I know through ongoing discussions with the county and perhaps some other financial partners that maybe something of this nature may come forward. I'm not sure that you know or not, but there was a homeless person that was deceased a month or two ago within the city of Pembroke. And I mean, this is probably not due to the cold weather, but as the cold weather approaches, we certainly don't want to see people sleeping on the street or on your doorstep for that matter. We need to look after those that are so vulnerable within our community. And I think that's the mandate of Canada, as a great country to live in. So as things move forward, we hope to see some sort of a warming center evolve prior to the cold winter months that are coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? No. Item number 3, the Petawawa Housing Corporation 40th anniversary. Councillor from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. And I'd just like to thank Laura, Margot, Jennifer, and I hope I'm not missing anybody, that came that day to celebrate the 40th anniversary. It was a great day, and it is a great facility. It's hard to believe it's 40 years old. It's very well maintained. And I think that's a testament to the county, who have supported that facility for the past 40 years and still continue to do so. So thanks for all you've done and all you continue to do to keep that facility in the condition that it's in. And just to plant a little seed, if there are any programs moving forward, we would love to explore the expansion of that facility in our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? No. Item number 4, Substance Use Collective Action Planning Day. Comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll continue on with resolutions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to committee. Resolution on Rural Ontario Municipal Association, the Roma Conference. The recommendation reads that the Community Services Committee recommends the County Council approve delegation requests at the 2024 Rural Ontario Municipal Association, ROMA, Annual Conference with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and Associate Minister of Housing to discuss additional funding opportunities to increase housing in our community, and further, that the Chair of the Standing Committee, along with the Warden, be designated to attend the delegation.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Head Clark-Mariah, seconded by the member from Petawawa. All in favor? Carried. Carry on, please.
Okay.
Recommendation.
Item number 6, it's a bylaw, the National Housing Strategy 2023-24 allocations. The recommendation is that the Community Services Committee recommend to County Council that the confirmed 2023 to 24 and planned 2024 to 25 confirmed funding allocations for the provincially delivered National Housing Strategy initiatives be approved, and further that a bylaw be adopted authorizing the warden and the CAO clerk to execute the amended transfer payment agreement for the Canada-Ontario Housing Initiative, COCHI, and the Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative, OFI, and the Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit, COB, programs between the County of Renfrew and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. I'll stop there.
Thank you. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by the member from Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richard, seconded by the member from Petawawa. Background?
Thank you, Chair. So the background is attached. You'll see correspondence from the then Minister Clark outlining what our funding allocations are for the COCHI and OFI and the Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit. And you will see that we have identified under the funding allocations the amounts that we know we're getting for this year and what the planned amounts are for the following year, the fiscal year. Normally we have this in front of committee in spring, but there were delays from the ministry in releasing our funding, and that was partly due to some changes they were making to the guidelines, which we have attached here. Under this particular program, we are required to send in an investment plan, and our investment plan that we are putting together talks about, and we'll definitely bring it in further during budget process, but it's going to be talking about things such as investing in the building condition assessment that we are currently looking at launching very soon. We also want to look at some community housing viability strategies and looking at some more affordable housing units and, affordable rent units. So we have as well our nonprofits included in there for some of the repairs that they need. Short of that, once we have the sign back letter off to the province, then we will get our allocations issued to us. I think I'll just park it there for any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Councillor from Whitewater, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just for context, to remind me, these programs, COCHI and OFI, they're both for use in rent geared to income housing. Is that correct?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, to committee. So they both have their own set of requirements. They include our housing. They include our 5 nonprofit housing as well. There are certainly, under the guidelines, you'll see that they have some capital components as well, but this would not be something that we could use outside of the county, like outside of the county of Renfrew. We could partner with other agencies, but it definitely is money that's flowed to us for the community housing portfolio.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Can we go back? Did we do the background on item number 5? No, can we go back to that, please? Yeah, background, please, Ms. Lapine.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, to committee. So as you are probably aware, the Roma conference is scheduled for January 21st through the 23rd to be held in Toronto this year. And we want to have an opportunity to present and discuss with Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, which is and Associate Minister of Housing, Rob Flack, proposed solutions to housing, including our modular seniors village project that we have talked about in the past, and a proposed Habitat for Humanity partnership. We also want to have an opportunity to discuss with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, which is Minister Rob Calandra, on the topic of continued and sustainable funding, to have a longer view in terms of the housing or the funding that we will have so that we can start planning and looking longer term. Right now, as you may know, we get 2 years worth of notice in terms of funding, but having a longer range view in terms of housing will allow us to be able to stack funding and look at other opportunities within a longer period, and provide for us the opportunity to, possibly put together some shovel-ready projects for when funding is announced. Hopefully that covers the background. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? None. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Yep. Could I get a mover and a seconder to accept this report as a whole? No, we do that at the end. Okay, the Ontario Works Division report next, please.
Thank you, Chair Giardini, and through you to committee. Good afternoon, members of Community Services Committee. The Ontario Works report starts on page 240, and there are 2 information items. The first is regarding the province's role in expanding centralized intake for social assistance applications. The memo that is attached as Appendix 1 from the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services speaks of the legislative changes that have been made in order to allow the province to be designated as a delivery agent for Ontario Works. And this is will allow them to take some further steps in centralized intake. Currently, many applications that are reviewed at the provincial level. If a decision of a denial is made, the application is still brought back to the local municipality to have our local staff send out letters, as we are still the designated delivery agent. So these changes that have been made will allow the province to move a little further in centralized intake. At the August committee meeting, I had given this committee quite a fulsome report about centralized intake and the progression from 2020 up till now, and the staged approach that the ministry has taken to centralize the intake process. So this is a good news that some further steps are being taken. They're also going to partner with 3 municipalities to test out doing centralized intake for more complex applications. Currently, medium and high complexity applications are directed back to the local municipality for local decision making, and approximately 50% of applications are still directed back to the local offices. So these next steps will allow the province to move further along with their goal to centralize the intake and some of the administration pieces around determining eligibility for programs. The second item is regarding the employment services transformation. So we went live with our transformation as of October 1st. Very pleased to report that we had a smooth and successful transformation, thanks to the hard work of our staff and the staff at the Employment Ontario offices. Effective October 1st, Circle Canada is now the service system manager for employment services delivery across the Kingston-Pembroke region, which, in addition to Renfrew County, also includes Hastings, Prince Edward, Lennox and Addington, and City of Kingston. So all Employment Ontario offices in those across those areas are under the umbrella of Circle. We had a very busy month of September with staff doing a lot of training, a lot of meetings with Circle and with Employment Ontario in order to learn about the new integrated tools that both our caseworkers and the Employment Ontario caseworkers will be using. Currently, we are able now to electronically refer action plans to Employment Ontario for those clients who are ready to be looking for employment, and our caseworkers maintain action plans for those individuals who do need some additional help to increase their employability or in the area of life stabilization. Further meetings are planned, actually an in-person meeting is planned for the 23rd of October. It'll be held in this building, hosted by CERCO, and we'll have ourselves, the Employment Ontario offices, and the Ontario Disability Support Program office here so that we can meet in person and work out any outstanding questions around the transformation and make sure that we have things in a good state so that clients in our communities are well served. And as I say, the transformation went very well, and I think that there has been a very smooth transition and no impact to the services that we're providing. That is the end of the information items. Would you like me to pause there, Chair?
Yes, please, thank you. Going back to information item 1, centralized intake expanding the province's role. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Number 2, employment services transformation update. Councillor from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I'm just wondering, I know it's only been since October 1st. It's been a short period of time, so you haven't had a lot of time to evaluate, I guess, the entire takeover. I have heard possible rumors of budget cuts being implemented, which may result in either staff being laid off or marketing budgets or PD budgets being cut at some of our local facilities. I'm just wondering if you could comment on those possibilities.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Service, are you referring to cuts at the Employment Ontario offices or to our office?
Yes, cuts to the Employment Ontario offices.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Service, I can speak to what I am aware of with respect to the changes in funding. One of the changes with the Employment Services transformation is that when clients are eligible for additional benefits, such as work boots to start a new job or gas money to get to interviews, any of the items that are relating to employment and to job search purposes now have to be requested and funded by the Employment Ontario offices, where our offices, the Ontario Works offices, will continue to provide funding for things that are relating to stability support. So perhaps cell phone minutes to contact a counsellor or other items in that regard. So there have been changes in that regard. I'm not aware of what the Employment Ontario what their budgets look like. We've certainly had a lot of discussions just about making sure that the processes are very smooth and seamless for clients so that they can access the benefits from either agency in a really timely manner to make sure that they don't miss out on opportunities. So that's been the nature of the discussions that we have had. In terms of our budget, we are experiencing, in the Ontario Works budget, we have been notified that with the Employment Services transformation, we will have a reduction in our program delivery funding from the ministry because some of the dollars are being transferred to the Ministry of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development as part of their delivery of the integrated employment services delivery and the funding of those benefits to clients that are related to employment.
Supplemental?
It's encouraging to hear that it's not going to affect the services that we're delivering to the individuals in need. My concern is that because of this privatization takeover, is that it's going to affect our ability to deliver those services in terms of either staff being cut or marketing or PD of the staff. So maybe a little further on down the line, a month or two from now, we'll have a little more information, and maybe you'll have a report that can comment on that. So thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on number 2? Okay, continue with the resolutions, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. So item number 3 is a resolution regarding the Social Services Fiscal Pressure Reserve Fund. May I go ahead and read the recommendation, Chair? Thank you. So the recommendation is that the Community Services Committee recommend to County Council that any changes to Ontario Works administration components of the upcoming Ontario Works budget that exceed the budgeted amounts be funded from the Social Services Fiscal Pressure Reserve.
Could I get a mover and a seconder, please, to put this on the floor? Moved by Councillor from Whitewater, seconded by Warden. Continue with the background, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. So by way of a bit of background, the Ontario Works program has performance targets that we need to achieve in order to avoid a portion of our program delivery funding being clawed back by the province. And for a few years, in between 2008 and 2010, the province allowed the municipal partners to receive additional funds if they exceeded their targets. And so as the report indicates, there was 2 years that we exceeded targets and were able to create the Social Services Fiscal Pressure Reserve Fund with those funds. The province requires that those funds be held to be used in the event of going over budget. And the current balance in that fiscal pressure fund is $339,942. So further to Councillor Service's question and what we were speaking about in the last item, the result of the employment services transformation is a reduction to the Ontario Works funding. We are looking at a $500,000 reduction in funding from the province in 2024, and we did have a reduction of $100,000 in 2023, a $100,000 reduction as we went live with the employment services transformation effective October 1st, so the reduction was prorated. So this item is before committee to request your support in our office being able to access the fiscal pressure fund should we need to in order to offset the reductions that we are going to be experiencing with the provincial changes in funding. We have known for a few years about this funding reduction coming, and we have been certainly doing our best to look at ways to find efficiencies and find cost savings, including absorbing some positions through attrition and looking for ways to prepare for the changes ahead. So we are doing everything we can and requesting access to these funds should we need them in order to help mitigate some of the changes with the funding changes coming to us. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, member from Whitewater, please.
Sorry, I got hung up on some of the abbreviations and then took it back to point number 2. So they're clawing back $500,000 a year, and that's going to be, it's prorated for this year, but it's going to be $500,000 from 2024 going forward to mitigate the impact internally of losing that. You're asking to go into reserves to cover you until you can stabilize at that new decreased budget level.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. I guess the short answer is yes, we're going into budget planning sessions and looking at opportunities as we move into 2024 to make the transition and to put together the Ontario Works budget. Recognizing the work that we have in front of us and the changes that we've made to date, feeling that we may need to access some additional dollars in order to maintain the services at the level that we have, and that's the request that we have to this committee.
Supplemental.
Perfect. I'm in full support of the approach, but I'll come back to Councillor Petawala. Sorry, just name blocked, Gary. Anyway,
Service.
I'm worried now that I see numbers in front of me, we're losing $500,000 worth of ability to support our residents. I just want to make sure that we're getting that $500,000 back through this other organization, so the service level should remain the same for our residents. And I know you can't answer that, but that's my concern going forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other, did you want to add to that? Okay, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Just a comment, and I think the items, I appreciate your comments and just wanted to indicate that I think the big picture changes with respect to the employment services transformation and the funding transfers also correlate to the province's plan to centralize the administration of the intake and remove some of that work from the municipal staff and the Ontario Works staff. And I've been keeping this committee up to date on those changes, because we are at a place right now where there is a lot of work at the municipal level still with the pieces that the province is working to upload and to centralize. So we're really pleased to see some further steps in that respect. And also, as I spoke about at the August meeting, the centralized intake collaborative and strategic table that the province has formed with representatives from all of the 47 consolidated municipal service managers to look at ways that the eligibility determinations piece, which is a large piece for municipal staff, can be more completely delivered at the provincial level in order to allow the municipal staff to focus time with potentially less municipal staff on the work that is supporting individuals with stability supports and other person-centered services. Thank you.
Okay, any other councillor from Petawawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. And I'll just echo Councillor Nicholson's concerns. Anytime there's a privatization of a government agency, and I was concerned when I first heard about this, but this is a company that's in the business of making profits. And that money has to come from somewhere. And when we see 100,000 being cut and then $500,000 being cut, and rumors that there are other budgetary cuts that may result in staff being laid off, those are the concerns that generally arise when a government function is turned over to a private organization, that the money has to come from somewhere. And I hope it's not at the expense of the individuals who are most in need of these programs and the service organizations that are implementing these programs here in Renfrew County. So I hope 2 months from now or 3 months from now, when we get a report back, that isn't the case.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, I now invite Margot for the Child Care and Early Years Division report, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee, good afternoon. The Child Care and Early Years report begins on page 248 of your package. And the first information item, number 1, is Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day. I am pleased to share that October 17th is the 23rd annual Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day. While we acknowledge, respect, and appreciate the amazing work that is done each and every day of the year by all of the staff in the child care and early years sector in the county, next Tuesday will be an extra special recognition to thank them for everything that they do for the children and families in the county of Renfrew. Information item number 2, presentation to the Township of Whitewater Region Council. On September 20th, Director Lapine and I were invited to attend the Whitewater Region Council meeting to present on the role and services provided by the Child Care and Early Years Division. There was a great discussion held, and we would like to thank Councillor Nicholson for the opportunity to share our work. Item number 3, revised licensing approach for home child care memorandum. The attached memorandum provides some revisions for how home child care agencies are licensed by the Ministry of Education. The current licensing process provides one broad license to the municipality where the home childcare agency's head office is located. But there are often times where the licensed home that are being overseen by the agency are located across multiple service system areas, which makes things a little bit more complicated. So the licensing revision is going to provide for unique capacities for each service system area where homes are located. In the County of Renfrew, there are 2 licensed home childcare agencies, one operated by the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center, and the other is directly operated by our staff here. All of the licensed home currently that are overseen by the 2 agencies in the county are within the county borders, so we have not experienced this situation to date. Another revision that the ministry is going to be making is with regard to any unused capacity on an existing license, and that will be deemed as unassigned. So if the home childcare agency is enrolled in the Canada-wide early learning and childcare system, which is the $10 to $12 a day childcare system, they will need to have any new growth approved through the service system manager. Information item number 4, amendments to Ontario Regulation 138/15 of the Childcare and Early Years Act 2014. So there was an attached memorandum and updated policy statement that was attached to this item, and the amendment is effective September 29th, 2023, and speaks to municipalities working together and with licensees to make reasonable efforts to facilitate applications for fee subsidy for families who are requesting subsidies in municipalities outside of where they live. This is in support of parental choice. These cross-border agreements have already been happening throughout the province in many areas, and I can inform that we have been having conversations with the City of Ottawa and Lanark County recently about this. We also have staff sitting in on meetings with our neighboring Eastern Region partners in order to collaborate on consistent messaging and practices for this amendment. And that, Chair, concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll go back to item number 1, Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day. Any comments or questions? Item number 2, presentation to the Township of Whitewater Region Council. Member from Whitewater, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the presentation that was provided by both Laura and Margot. Excellent. Very well received. A lot of questions from the councillors. There's just not a complete understanding of the way the system works, and they brought that to the table. And we're looking forward to finding new solutions for rural childcare in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? No. Item 3, revised licensing approach for home childcare memorandum. Comments, questions? Seeing none. Item 4, amendments to OREG 138/15 of Child Care and Early Years Act 2014. No comments, questions? Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder for the report as a whole? Moved by the member from Killaloe, Haggerty and Richards, seconded by a member from Whitewater. All in favor? Carried. There's any new business? None. There is nothing for a closed meeting. The date of our next meeting is Wednesday, November 15th. Could I get a mover and a seconder to adjourn, please? Moved by Councillor from Petawawa, seconded by Warden Emo. All in favor? Carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.